GM friends, welcome back to another episode on the Friends Validator show. And this is actually the very last show of this year before we enter a Christmas season. So we would see you back in early 2025. So today we are going to sit down with the co-founder and CTO of Space and Time, Scott Dykstra, to talk about one of the most exciting upcoming mainnet launches in the industry, which is SXT Chain, or also better known as Space and Time. So today we are talking about a super technical topic for many of you, which is indexing, but don't worry, we are going to break it down into super simple words so you can understand it in and out. With that being said, Scott, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So let us get straight into it. So I watched your keynote in Bangkok at Staking Reward Summit more than once, and I thought it very interesting, like the first opener where you said, okay, SXT Chain is a blockchain for ZK proven data. And before we get much more into the details of indexing, can we briefly talk about why ZK proven data is so important, why it's so relevant? So maybe talk a little bit about the advantages in such a term that a crypto newcomer who is a little bit familiar with blockchains already is not confused by this term anymore.
Yeah, so the role of Space and Time Chain, SXT Chain, is collect data from every major blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, ZK Sync era, non-EVM chains like Sui, you name it. Collect data from those chains, witness and sign that data, basically make sure it's cryptographically secure, and then prep that data to be queried by clients that need cryptographically accurate data, like a smart contract that needs to query data from Ethereum, like actually ask questions about data on Ethereum. ZK proofs are simply just like mathematical, they're a mathematical process to mathematically prove that a computation you did was correctly. So if a DeFi smart contract on Ethereum wants to ask a basic question like, hey, what's the total volume of Scott's wallet's transactions? Surprisingly, that can't be asked natively on Ethereum today. Space and Time indexes data from Ethereum and provides that answer ZK proven back to clients.
Yeah, I think like in that context, like SXT chain is very well explained. In regards to ZK proven data, just like one sentence, how would you respond if someone describes ZK proven data's advantage in that sense that you can prove something without doxing other critical information, rather than just saying, here it's proven, trust me, bro. Is this how people can imagine ZK proven data?
Yeah, exactly. It gives smart contract developers superpowers. It allows smart contracts to actually ask complex questions about anything happening on chain, about like your wallet as you use a smart contract. DApp developers can finally build data-driven dApps. And the way that occurs is we index data from other chains or index data from Ethereum, build these cryptographic proofs that the tables haven't been tampered, that the underlying index data hasn't been tampered, and then allow smart contracts to ask questions about that data, query that data. And so in that sense, like ZK is a way for us to prove that the Ethereum answers we're providing you, we haven't tampered with, our indexer hasn't tampered with, because these answers, these query results, power billions of dollars of value on chain. DeFi protocols that are high volume, that are moving a lot of money and have a lot of money at stake, are asking questions that they need accurate answers to. For example, I'm taking out a loan, ask a question like, hey, what's the total volume of loans Scott has paid off? Because I'm going to give Scott a better borrow rate if he's already paid off a lot of loans. If someone manipulates that data or lies about that data, they can say they've paid off loans when they haven't and get a better borrow rate they don't deserve. Space and Time proves mathematically that we're not lying, that no one has tampered with that data, that it's accurate from the source.
Yeah, I think that's like super important to stress here, just to merge like these two worlds. And now getting into that, so let's talk a little bit about how this works. So we have like we live in a multi-chain world without a doubt with Solana, Ethereum, many other blockchains, like with hundreds of blockchains out there. So the SXT chain, like to describe it like in a more picturesque way, is the SXT chain is in between and provides all this index data for all of the other blockchains. How would you respond to such a broad description? And can you dive a little bit deeper into how you gather and organize all of this index data? So how does it actually get on the SXT chain?
Yeah, the question was, does space and time sit in the middle and connect to all these other chains and gather data from all these other chains? Yes. Space and time is its own blockchain, but the purpose of that chain is to actually collect data from other chains in a mathematically secure way, in a cryptographically secure way, in a tamper-proof way, proving that the data we've collected from these other chains, like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, like Era, like SWI, that we haven't done so in a manipulated way, in a tampered way. We haven't changed any data. We're not missing any data, that everything is there. What we show is accurate to the chain. But Scott, if you're grabbing data from Ethereum, why don't clients just also grab their data from Ethereum? Why do they need space and time in the middle? Well, what space and time does is it transforms the data on Ethereum into a much more consumable format, into a much easier to access format. Space and time chain grabs data from Ethereum, proves that it grabbed it correctly, and then changes the data into a queryable format that's easy to access, easy for smart contracts to ask questions against, and into a format that's a database-friendly SQL format.
Interesting. And let's talk once again a little bit about the importance of this. So currently we do not have this as much spread it in the industry. So when you design a smart contract, you are pretty much a little bit blind if you want
Yeah.
to access the data. So yeah, I think a lot of people are not aware of this actually.
I wasn't when I first got into crypto and Web3 and I started writing smart contracts. I just naturally assumed that you could ask questions about historical Ethereum transactions, historical Ethereum activity in Solidity. You can't. To your point, surprisingly, there's no way to access on-chain data. A question as simple as, what's the total volume of transactions that Scott's wallet has transacted on Ethereum? Surprisingly, you can't ask that question from a smart contract natively. So to your point, developers are building with their hand tied behind their back. They have all these ideas of ways they can improve their protocol if only they knew about who their user is. So basic, right? Why can't a smart contract know the history of your wallet when you transact with it? Why can't it? All of your wallet's data is on chain. So why can't a smart contract ask questions about that? Like, why can't it see your wallet's data? It's just the nature of the EVM. So space and time solves that problem and allows developers to write smart contracts that have full expressive access to all of the Ethereum data.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And we are going to talk about this a little bit more because often all of these smart contract developers are forced to buy certain indexing services that are pretty expensive. So we are going to talk about this in a second. But yeah, for what would be also interesting is how you basically bring all of this index data from other chains onto the SXT chain. So I believe you have like other indexing nodes around the SXT chain that basically bring this index data from, say, Ethereum to SXT chain. And since all of this is ZK proven, you can assume that this data is correct. Is this how basically the data gets transported to SXT chain?
Yeah, very accurate. A bunch of indexer nodes that sit around SXT chain that grab data from source chains, popular chains like Ethereum and Bitcoin and Era and SWI, as I've been saying. Grabs data from those, transforms it into a SQL-friendly, database-friendly data format, and submits it to our chain. Our chain comes to consensus that the data hasn't been tampered, signs that data, and preps it to be ZK proven in order to deliver cryptographically tamper-proof query results to client contracts and off-chain clients that need that data and need confidence that it hasn't been tampered. Surprisingly, like something interesting about space and time is that we're essentially a database that's designed to be hacked. We expect to be hacked. We invite hackers to come and try to tamper with data in space and time. So if a bad actor, a malicious entity comes and gets access to one of the nodes, one of the validators, and like tampers with the data, that will get caught by our ZK prover and our verifier. When clients query that tampered data, the verifier that verifies our proofs will see that the data has been changed. The whole point of space and time is that our technology ensures that when data is changed, when data is tamper-proof, or when data is tampered, when data is manipulated, that the protocol catches that and slashes that node that's been tampered. That's the whole point of space and time, is when clients do tamper with data, we catch it and we slash.
Yeah, that's a very fantastic description here, and yeah, very interesting model. But we also touched a little bit already on the economics, like super slightly. So you mentioned that there are validators like nodes on other chains that bring it to the chain. So let's talk a little bit about the incentivization to do that and basically run a validator on top of SXT, because I find this very interesting. As mentioned, or as you mentioned, better said, there are a lot of smart contract developers that struggle building applications because they don't access index data. If they want to, they are like services, but they are very expensive. So there is some economic value behind index data. So could you talk a little bit about how indexer nodes and how validators basically profit from that, and how the entire economics around that work in your ecosystem?
Yeah, we have a very robust economy where indexer operators get paid in block rewards for clients that are inserting data into space and time, like the indexer nodes and other clients that want to insert data into the decentralized database that is space and time. They pay gas for those inserts. That gas creates block rewards for validators, because validators are essentially a little database, and they get paid for all the inserts of data into their database. In addition, when clients, either on-chain contract clients or off-chain clients, query that data, clients pay for those queries, and those queries, half of the revenue from those queries act as tips towards the validators as well. So they're getting paid when users insert data, and they're getting paid when users query data out of the system. And that creates a very traditional kind of database revenue stream where, like today in the cloud, people pay for a database and they pay to insert data, they pay to query data. On the indexer side, a lot of, like you said, a lot of developers are already paying for a very expensive indexer data subscription. Space and Time offers that cheaper, but also cryptographically proven. So you get kind of a lower cost service with very high quality data, but also we can prove that the data is accurate.
Yeah, that's like, and now let's talk a little bit about the future of indexing, actually, because all of what you mentioned is like a very strong advantage in the competition on the market. So it's not only cheaper, it's also more reliable, I would say, as it is ZK proven data. So could you talk a little bit about basically where indexing goes next? Because in staking, we also experienced a very similar development where staking became more and more kind of a commodity. So can you maybe I would love to pick your brain on this, how you view basically the future of indexing, because as if I would see like a blockchain like this or like a market opportunity like this, there's no need anymore for me to go to all of these services, right?
I think indexing will be continually commoditized. It's already becoming commoditized, and it will continue to be commoditized. Indexing is just nice to have, and everyone should have it. I do not think about space and time primarily as an indexing service. Of course, we do indexing, but what space and time's real technology is, what our real business is actually delivering queries that are ZK proven. We need the indexer to populate our data, to have all the data to be able to query, but the real business is delivering compute, query results delivered to clients that clients pay for. And so while we try to commoditize indexing, make indexing cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, easier to use, and other teams do the same, the real value long term is actually in allowing clients to run ZK proven queries from their smart contracts. It becomes like a ZK oracle in a way. Think about like a ZK proven oracle that allows you to access any chain data. Again, the indexer is necessary for that. It's a necessary component to enable that. But the indexer is not where the value is, because to your point, there's lots of teams doing indexing, and there will continue to be more. It's a very lucrative business and also very commoditized. So long term, you're asking, hey, what's the future of indexing? Well, the future of indexing is that it's cheap and people can just do it themselves. The value in space and time long term is the only ZK proven SQL query engine to query all that index data and prove that it hasn't been tampered.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice way to put it. So how would you basically respond to the conclusion that even though your core product are ZK proven queries, you basically commoditize the indexing market as kind of a side product? Is this the way to put it?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think like people got already like a very good overview within these 50 minutes already. So let's put all of this together. So I usually say like a small conclusion, and then you can agree if the summarization is correct or not. So what you basically do is you have this gigantic SXT chain in the middle, and you have different index nodes that provide data to the SXT chain. And because all of these submitted data is ZK proven, like in a kind of fashion, trust me, bro, data where you know, okay, this data is for sure correct. You have reliable data on the SXT chain, and the necessity for this is that there are a lot of developers who struggle to build reliable applications as they cannot access this data that a lot of people think should be common, because as long as something on the blockchain, it should be accessible. They are like indexing companies that step in between nowadays, but index data is much more expensive. But yeah, with SXT Chain, you could access this index data much cheaper and even much more reliable. However, this is just the side product. The core product is really to send ZK proven queries back and forth, which also adds up to a easier life for a smart contract developer. So you respond to this conclusion?
That was a good conclusion. That was very accurate. Everything you said was correct, and I'd also add that ultimately our customers are DeFi developers, airdrop developers, loyalty systems on chain, games on chain, any smart contract that moves a lot of value that needs to ask questions about current or historical data. And so we power a lot of systems that need to do rewards and slashing. If you're building like a DPIN network and you need to know which nodes do I slash or which nodes do I reward for completing jobs, how would you write a smart contract that periodically queries a database and say, hey, what nodes completed what jobs and earn what reward? So a lot of our customers are trying to build slashing and reward systems on chain. They're trying to build airdrops that are trustless and fair, where you can actually query wallet activity. Hey, give me all the wallets that completed this job on chain, and I'll airdrop to them. And then finally, a lot of DeFi projects that need to query, hey, before you take out a loan, how many loans have you already paid off? Asking those kinds of questions to build a better, more data-driven ecosystem is important and allows for like very sophisticated smart contracts. We want to power that next wave of sophisticated smart contracts.
That's super exciting. And yeah, your mainnet is about to take place in
months.
Yeah,
2 months out.
Yeah. So how is the testnet going so far? So how many validators are on board? How long will the testnet still take? So
I think we'll run testnet all the way up until March. We get about 40 on board now. We'll be onboarding more in January and February. So we're really excited. It's going well.
Fantastic. Yeah. No, this sounds tremendous. So all the best of luck for the upcoming months. It's like really super interesting product. We actually, with Friends Validator, we also build a product, and we just understand how difficult indexing is right now. So yeah, really appreciate having this product in the future. So yeah, Scott, thank you so much for answering all of the questions. I believe everyone got a very good overview of what indexing is all about. So yeah, again, all of the best of luck for the beginning of 2025. And hope to see you on the show very soon, maybe around your mainnet launch.
Awesome. I can't wait. Thanks again.